Assalamualaikum, we are from group 4. It's me and my member of group.
Hello, my name is Afiq, Mutafik bin Saprin. My student ID is 2020 338 So I will talk about education policy first. Education policy is introduced in 1957 and rechecked in 1960 and also recorded in Student Act 1961. So education policy is a reference to KPM and other who involved to make a proposal, decision, and the path of education in Malaysia. This is a policy who giving understanding to those who need it.
Hi everyone, my name is Asminur Shafika. So I will explain about education policy problem. One of the problem in education policy problem is lack of skilled teaching teachers in the implementation of effective education. Ministry of Education had a problem in placing the teachers in rural school, especially in the island and interior. This condition also causes mismatches for the teacher. For example, the teacher need to teach the critical subjects such as mathematics, science, and English in order to meet the need of their student. The next problem of education policy is online distance learning that faced by the teachers and students nowadays during pandemic COVID-19. Online learning is similar to regular learning, which involve communication between the teacher and the student, but in a different way by using Google Meet, WhatsApp, Telegram, and many more. It is because they do not meet face-to-face during this pandemic. In addition, the assessment is still ongoing, monitoring by the teacher or lecturer as a normal learning. So the problem here is the student will need to purchase the high-speed internet to access their online learning or pay extra to get high-speed internet in order to join the class. But not all students have the good internet access in their home, and this also may make it difficult to the students who are less able to learn effectively due to the lack of the internet access facility. For the unprivileged students who do not have gadget and internet access, this will make it difficult to them for follow all the online learning efforts by the instructor.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Sina Atira. So for my part, I'm going to explain more further on the main objective as well as the goals of our topic today, which is education policies. So the first one is to equip students with the essential skills, which is to produce individuals who will be intellectually, spiritually, and also emotionally and physically balanced. So the second one is to produce skilled manpower for economic and national development because it will benefit the whole nation. And the third one is to inculcate and nurture national consciousness by promoting common ideals, values, aspiration, and also loyalty to foster national unity. And for the second part, which is goals of education policy, is the first one is actually to have the best quality in education standard, which is referred to the conditions that will help the process of teaching and learning in the classroom, including the working conditions for the teachers and also as well as the learning for students. Other than that, it is also to improve the equity for the people in education policy, which is to make sure that every children or students are provided with schools education when they are old enough based on their age and education level they should in, and also help those who have financial problem such as the university level students through PT and zakat and many more. So schools facility is also needed to be improved. And the third one is to increase effectiveness, which is increase the learning method or ways of learning, and also the teaching to make sure that the students have better performances in their subject and exams.
Hi, my name is Nur Adila Atira binti Subhan. So from my part, I will talk about the actors that is involved in education policy. So before that, we have to know what is policy actor. So, policy actor is a group of individuals that is participate in policy process and who preference ultimately determine the policy choice. And we can see through policy actors direct involved in the policy process. So now we go through the actors that is involved in education policy. So the first one is government. Government has a big role in education because they are the one that provide facilities to the university, to the school, and the students. And then the second actors is legislative branch. Legislative branch, they develop and passage of statutes. It is one type of law. And then the third one is educational committee. They develop educational laws and they review the existing laws and hold hearing on educational policy issues. Also, the actors that involved in education is finance committee, where they state the budget in education, and then the powerful speaker that is impact what happen education policies are developed. Also, in the actors in education, we have the State Board of Education that responsible for the K-12 and vocational educations, and then we have executive branch. In this executive branch, there are two actors. The first one is chief state school officer, a public official judge, and then the second one is the State Department of Education. This is important actors in education policy process. And then we have local government actors, there is local boards of educations. In these actors, they play a central role in education policy making. And then we have non-government policy actors. It is involved in interest groups, what they are and what they do. And then the last one is policy network. Policy network actors is a group of interested in education policy. They coordinate a wide range of efforts to influence policy. And now we go to the functions of actors in education policy. So the functions is easy to formulate and implement policy to be more effectively and efficiently. Also, it will be easy to develop and approve the rules and the regulations for education laws. And then the last one is this actor can provide the assessment of the impact of a proposed policy in education policy.
Hello, my name is Muhammad Tagitaradi bin Muhammad Juin. My matrix number is 2019-436-822. I'm going to talk about implementation of policy. According to Google Dictionary, policy is a course or principle of action adopted or proposed by the organization or to individual. For a policy to become true, it has to go through a lot of process before it becomes a law. One of the process is the implementation. Implementation is the stage where policy actions occurs to address recognized policy problems. Policy has been considered only as a hypothesis, whereby implementation will convert the policy to an action program through various level of actions, such as why is it important to be implemented. Secondly, how will it be implemented, and what are the challenges, and also who is responsible for the implementation. That is implementation about. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Muhammad Ishamuddin bin Rab. Today I want to talk about evaluation in the effectiveness. The first introduction, the process of strength-based education involves educators intentionally and systematically discovering their own talents and developing and applying strength as they work to remain current in their fields. Next, there are 4 parts about SWOT. The first is strengths of education policy to improve their teaching method, to design and implement their curriculum, and to establish programmatic activity to help students discover their talent and develop and apply strength with learning substantive knowledge, acquiring academic skill, developing thinking and problem-solving skill, and demonstrating their learning in educational setting to level of excellence. The second is weakness. There are other ways in which children may be disadvantaged. For example, as a result of disability, literacy difficulties, health poverty, read about the support for the education in special need education, psychological service for school, and financial help with going to school. Next, this is about opportunities of education policy. At top, we are passionate about education, and we believe it is crucial to society development and well-being. Our current learners will face a rapidly changing world, requiring skill we don't yet know, description we have yet seen, and demands we can imagine now. Learners will need to be able to adapt, and educators will need to develop ways to support lifelong learning. The last one is threat. 20,062 million children and young adults around the world that stay out of school, and is demanding world leader to take action and concrete steps to change it. Children access to education has the power to end poverty, improve health and well-being, develop society, grow economy, combat climate change, and even in malnutrition. In short, education is the answer to the biggest challenge facing the planet. Thank you.
Now we will talk about the recommendations in education policy. So the first one is communication. It is important to have communication in education because it can improve communication and involvement with the policymakers and teachers or the leader. The second recommendation is feedback loop, where they have to allow the policy implemented to provide opinions or view to the policymaker.
So, hi everyone, I will explain about recommendation. One of the recommendation is policy overload. A consistent complaint from the research participant that there was too many policy change, creating overload for the principal and the teachers. So, the Ministry of Education should prioritize initiative to reducing overloading and to boost the prospect of effective implementation. Okay, so for example, the government and the policymaker should give priority in that matters are more important to avoid this policy overload to the teachers and school to do a lot of things that are unnecessary.
And other recommendation is also to improve the ownership or right, which is the authorities or the policymakers and the actors should give a chance to the school authorities, such as the teachers and the principal, to have rights to recommend what kind of policy they wanted or they want to improve, and this recommendation should be implemented if acceptable.
The last recommendation is policy implementation or interpretations. In these recommendations, the policy can alternative approach for minister to indicate their policy aims such as enhance students' outcomes, but leave it to states and schools to decide most appropriate ways of achieving these goals.
Education policy is important for us because this policy can produce student that one day maybe can lead the country, and this policy also can make student compete with other international student with high level of education. So this policy can improve our education system efficiently, surely.